If you are a follower of gaming content on YouTube, you surely know the game Sprunki, and this is a musical game through which you can make music using Sprunki characters. But we will not talk about the game itself, but we will talk about Sprunki tips. I'm a logger in a lot of analog or strange videos related to the game Sprunki, but in this video we will talk about the special series on the analog channel. Foxy, before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe if you are not subscribed. Let's enter the video. The first tape begins with an unknown character talking to us, but I believe that the character who talks to us throughout the series is Gray's character, so we will consider that the one who talks to us in the video is Gray. In fact, Gray tells us that he started recording these tapes because the world is full of a strange disease that infects Sprunki creatures. This disease is unknown and no one knows where it came from or how it infected the creatures, and we know that the first Sprunki to contract this disease was Simon. Then Simon is shown the stages of the disease's development, and he tells us that on the third day of infection, the infected Sprunkus is violent and causes for the second Sprunks who did not get the disease, and we know that Simon, after the disease took control of him, killed one of the Sprunks named Brod. Then a video is shown of the incident that occurred and caused Brod's death, and we see Brad running in the forest, and it is clear that he was running from something. Then Prob hears a voice telling him, "You won't be able to run away." Cold and cold, he begs the thing he's chasing so he doesn't kill them, because he doesn't want to die. But the thing he's chasing doesn't respond to. Then Brod asks the thing who it is. It becomes clear that the thing or entity that was chasing Brod was Simon after the disease took control of him. And it also becomes clear that Simon and Brod, they were friends, and Brod tells Simon that he's turned into a monster. But Simon answers him and tells him that he is not a monster and that he must do this because he is hungry. Simon then attacks Brad and feeds on him. That's why we see Brad in the game in this view after parts of him have been eaten on Simon's hand, and the first video ends. At the beginning of the second tape, Gray says that the disease is unstoppable and difficult to control. In one of the Sprunki, named Wanda, she also contracted the strange disease, and we know that Wanda took a knife and killed 3 of the Sprunki, and we get to know the 3 Sprunks who were killed by Ed. Wanda, the first is called Oren, the second is called Tanner, the third is called Gerald, and Gray tells us to Tanner he was trying to protect them from Wanda, and this is because he enlightened a policeman, but Wanda was able to take the weapon from him and also kill him with it. Then he ran and told us about one of the Sprunki creatures named Lime. He tells us that Lime is always nervous because he's suffering from trauma or shock, but the shock he had multiplied after all the Sprunkis around him were dying. Of course, this is because of the strange disease that is spreading. We know that Lime is currently locked himself in the house. After that, a scene is shown. It is clear that this scene shows a strange incident that happened to Abe while he was locking himself in the house, and in the scene, Lime appears to be in his house, and it is clear from his appearance that he is. Suddenly, I hear the sound of a door opening, and Liam is shocked. When he sees Red, he breaks into his house. But there was one moment in the background behind Red that we saw before. If I knew where I saw her before, put a like. Even if you don't know, put a like too, because this helps me a lot. The important thing is that fear takes over him and controls him, takes a knife, and begins to attack Red and kill him in a hideous way. The second bar ends like this in the third bar. He is very sad about what happens to the people he loves who died of a strange disease. He says White Cat or Wanda was the reason. We know that the psychological state has become so bad that he thinks that after that he will talk about the accident that happened to Pinky and say that Pinky was hit with a rock. But he is not sure whether Pinky is still alive after this episode or whether she is dead. But of course he hopes that Pink is still alive. Then a scene of the accident that happened to Pinky is shown. She is walking somewhere. It is clear that she is walking in the forest. Suddenly you meet Wanda, who is holding a rock, and this is what happens. And this hits you with a rock and completely disfigures what's between you. And Gray tells us that he tried to search for Pinky after she was attacked by Wanda, but he regrets that he tried to search for her. And the word terrible appears on the screen quickly, and terrible is one of the Sprunki creatures. Then this scene is shown, and Gray appears walking in the forest and looking for Pinky after Honda attacked her, and suddenly Double appears and chases him. Moving, weaving, the GRN succeeded in escaping from Terrible and hid in the grass, and Terrible did not know how to find him. Then he talks about the incident that happened to Lim and Ward and says that Lim continued to torture Reed to death because Reed hated Lim, but Lim he hated him much more. And we also know that Lim then disfigured himself and also tried that after he tortured and killed Reed, but he failed, that's why he ran away. In the fourth tape we see Gray sleeping on the ground, anxiety, tension and fear completely controlling him. And he begins to remember all the events that happened, and all his friends who were killed or fell ill, and also those who went crazy like Lime and saw Wanda chasing him and killing him. But it turns out that all this is a nightmare because of the events that happen. Gray begins to imagine all his friends who were killed and they blame him for everything that happened. But of course these are fantasies in Gray's mind because of his feeling of guilt, because he didn't even know how to help any of them until all his friends disappeared. At the beginning of the last video we see Gray holding a gun and pointing it in the direction of Simon, but before he shoots Simon he turns into Luanda, but this is a preparation after which Gray shoots Simon. After that these words appear on the screen. I can't forgive myself, I killed one of my friends, this can't be real. What was I thinking when I did this? It could be Gray who said this because he felt guilty after he killed Simon, even though Simon turned into a monster due to a strange disease or infection. Or the person who was saying this was Simon himself because he regained consciousness after Gray shot him. The important thing is that we see a scene of Blue trying to investigate what happened and trying to find out who caused the events that happened and concluding that the killer was one of them. After that a sentence appears on the screen written Bash Caesar, which is the same sentence written in the title and its translation, hey, you're not safe. In the last scene he finally ran to meet the person who caused everything that happened. Surely you also expected that Black was the cause of the strange disease and he was the reason for what happened to all the Sprunkies, and a conversation takes place between Black and Gray, and Black asks Gray why they're afraid of getting infected. Although the issue is not painful and they can consider this infection a gift, they are supposed to be happy with the gift and tell him that this infection will make you perfect, and Black asks him to run, if he also wants to remain perfect. Gray but answers him and tells him no, and he shoots Black. But at the end of the video, the word appears, meaning Gray did not hit Black when he was shot, and the series ends like this. The series of course is very simple and not complicated, and you can consider the whole series just a theory about the game, or an attempt to create a story for the game only. This is what we had in the video. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe if you are not subscribed. That's all.